Wish our Muslim listeners Happy New Hijrah Year 1446 AH. May the new year bring into our lives remarkable joy and achievement. Education Today is a program that aims to call the attention of the public to education matters as they affect the effective running of the educational system and the achievement of educational goals. This comes on air every Saturday on this station, Light Radio. I am Nima Ibrahim.
And I am Said Aremu. Our goal is to educate, inform, orientate, and entertain the society on educational matters, address issues affecting the educational system, influence public opinion, and drive effective educational policy directions to guide the formulators and implementers. For your comments, questions, and contributions, you can reach us on Facebook via www.facebook.com/lightradio, X at The Light Radio, Instagram Light_radio, YouTube at Light Radio. You can also call or send a message to us via SMS or WhatsApp on 0809-738-4000. Before we go on a quick break, we use this medium to celebrate one of our icons on this program, Professor Wale Soyinka, who celebrates his birthday today, his 19th birthday today, 13th of July 2024. Right now, we'll go on a quick break. When we return, the program continues. Please stay with us.
Iṣẹ́ burúkú ni wọ́n ń ṣe tí wọ́n bá jalè wọ́n wá tún fọ́lé ẹ̀dàkúnyé ẹ̀yìn òbí wa tẹ́bá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa ẹ̀dàkúnyé ẹ̀yìn òbí wa tẹ́bá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa.
If you just joined in, you are listening to Education Today on Light Radio. We kick off with the news segment with Neema. Hello, Neema.
Hello, Said. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Can you please give us the news?
All right. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the news on Education Today, reaching you live from Light Radio. I am Neema Ibrahim. First, the headlines. Federal government to exempt universities from IPPs. Approves new university for Abuja. JAMB warns tertiary institutions against illegal admission of underage and diploma students. 22 dead, 132 injured in Plateau school building collapse. And away from Nigeria, Florida School Board wants 7-year-old student to testify in book ban case. Now the details. The Federal Executive Council, FEC, has called for prompt action on its earlier decision to remove public universities from the Integrated Payroll and Personal Information System, IPS platform. According to reports, the Council has instructed the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, SGF, to expedite the implementation of this decision made several months ago. This move aims to address a long-standing grievance of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, which has consistently opposed the use of IPs for university staff salaries. ASU argues that the system fails to accommodate the unique peculiarities of the academic environment. Additionally, the Council has approved the establishment of a new National University of Science and Technology in Abuja. This decision follows an initial approval granted by former President Muhammadu Buhari on May 28, 2023, during the final days of his administration. The new university is set to be a pioneering institution marking the first in a planned network of Pan-African Institutes of Science and Technology. Its primary mission is said to educate and train African scientists and technologists, thereby boosting the continent's capacity in these critical fields. The Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAMB has issued a stern warning to tertiary institutions, particularly universities, to cease the admission of underage students. The board also cautioned against the illegal admission of diploma students. JAMB Registrar Professor Isaac Oloyede highlighted these issues at the 7th Biennial Conference of the Committee of Pro-Chancellors of State-Owned Universities in Nigeria, held in Lagos on Tuesday. He emphasized there that the illegal admission of underage and diploma students must be halted. Oloyede stressed the importance of stopping these practices for the sake of accountability, data protection, and the integrity of the nation. Furthermore, he recounted an incident involving a 15-year-old student who applied for a postgraduate course abroad. Lastly, the professor pointed out that state-owned universities need to address these issues as they outnumber the federal universities in the country. The Plateau State government has confirmed 22 deaths and 132 injured persons from the just collapsed school building. Mr. Musa Ashoms, the Commissioner for Information, said 6 of the injured were in critical condition. Ashoms also said that those injured were receiving treatment in various tertiary health facilities in the state, while the bodies of the deceased had been deposited in the mortuaries. According to reports, a 2-story building of Saint Academy, a secondary and primary school located at Busabuji community of Just North local area, had collapsed, trapping students, teachers, and others. The incident occurred at about 8:30 a.m. on Friday when the students were writing their third-term examination. Meanwhile, Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau has described the incident as a tragic and a monumental loss to the state. The Joint Action Committee, JAC, of the non-teaching staff unions of the universities on Tuesday has appealed to President Bola Tinubu to interfere on payment of the withheld 4-month salaries. Recall that JAC of the two unions had on July 7 mandated all branches to hold a one-day nationwide protest to express their grievances over the withheld salaries and other pending issues of the two unions. The protest rally in all branches in the universities and inter-university centers was declared after the meeting convened by the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, ended in stalemate. Speaking at the protest, Chairman of SANU, University of Abuja branch, Comrade Nuruddin Yusuf, explained that the protest was to draw the attention of the government to issues bordering on the welfare and university education in general, most especially the payments of the withheld 4-month salaries. Lastly, Yusuf called on the Minister of Labour and Employment to use her good office to prevent the industrial disharmony and disaffection in the universities. The Executive Secretary of the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, Dr. Amit Boboyi, has said the country needs additional 194,876 qualified teachers to fill the existing gaps in the basic education sector. He also disclosed that at primary school level, the nation needs over 900,000 new classrooms and over 200,000 classrooms at the junior secondary school level, making a total of over 1 million classrooms needed at the basic education level. He stated this in Ikeja, Lagos, during a one-day partnership meeting dialogue with the organized private sector on the implementation of the Universal Basic Education UBE program. Speaking on the dearth of qualified teachers at that level, Boboyi blamed state governments which do not take teachers' professional development as a priority, despite collecting 10% of UBEC grants for such purpose. And away from Nigeria, a Florida school board is seeking the testimony of a 7-year-old student with hope it helps tank a federal lawsuit filed over its book ban decisions. The case was filed by National Free Speech Group PEN America book publisher Penguin Random House, book authors, and the parents of students who were denied access to school library books. They say a deposition would be unnecessarily difficult for a child that young. The students in the suits range from elementary schoolers to high schoolers. Parents Ann Novakovsky joined the lawsuits on behalf of a now 7-year-old JN because she wants her child to have access to these books and others like them, among other reasons. The Escambia County School Board, which is simultaneously arguing its own members can't be deposed, says it has the right to explore the claims and defenses in the case directly with the students. That's all for the news for today, but before we go, a quick recap of the major stories. Federal government to exempt universities from IPs approves new university for Abuja. JAMB warns tertiary institutions against illegal admission of underage and diploma students. 22 dead, 132 left injured in Plateau school building collapse. And on the foreign scene, Florida School Board wants 7-year-old student to testify in book ban case. That's the news. It was compiled by Nima Ibrahim and edited by OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Don't forget, for the coverage of your educational programs, seminars, fairs, competitions, among others, you can call us on 0702-507-4268, or you can send us an email via educationmediaservices@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Education Today continues in a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back. That's all we can take on the news for today. And right now, we'll take the country in focus with Saeed. Good afternoon, Saeed.
Good afternoon, Nima.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you ready for us?
I am ready.
Okay. You have the floor.
You are welcome to the Country in Focus segment, where we consider a particular country of the world, its basic features, and most importantly, its educational system for the benefit of our listeners. I am Saeed Olanrewaju Aremu. Today, the country in focus is Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia was founded in 1932 by King Abdulaziz bin Abdulrahman Al Saud, hence the name. The country is home to the two holy cities of Mecca and Medina, the birthplace of Islam. Saudi Arabia has a rich cultural heritage and has played a significant role in the development of Islam. Saudi Arabia is an absolute monarchy, with the king serving as the head of the state and government. The king is advised by the Council of Ministers and Consultative Assembly, Majlis Shura. The country follows Islamic law, Sharia, as its legal system. As of 2020, the estimated population of Saudi Arabia is approximately 34.8 million, with a growth rate of up to 6% per annum. The country has a diverse population, with around 30% of residents being expatriates. Saudi Arabia has a strong and diverse economy, driven primarily by its vast oil reserves. It is the world's largest oil producer, the world's largest oil exporter, and has the second largest oil reserves, only after Venezuela. It is the 15th largest economy globally by nominal GDP. The country is also diversifying its economy through various sectors like services, which includes finance, tourism, and healthcare, manufacturing, consisting of petrochemicals, automotive and aerospace, renewable energy such as solar and wind, and infrastructure development such as transportation and real estate. Saudi Arabia has a unique cultural heritage with traditional practices like the Hajj pilgrimage and the celebration of Eid al-Fitr. In Saudi Arabia, education is free for citizens from primary school to university. The educational system is divided into 3 stages: the primary stage, which ranges from ages 6 to 11, the intermediate stage from ages 12 to 14, and the secondary stage from ages 15 to 18. The curriculum focuses on Islamic studies, Arabic language, science, engineering, and mathematics. Higher education is offered at universities and colleges with a focus on fields like engineering, medicine, and business. The government has implemented various reforms to modernize and improve the education system. The country also offers higher education scholarships to different male citizens of the world, especially in STEM courses. Vision 2030, a comprehensive reform plan, aims to reduce the country's dependence on oil exports and develop a more sustainable and diversified economy. That's it on the Country in Focus segment for today. I hope you have learned something about Saudi Arabia. I remain Saeed Aremu. Education Today continues in a moment. Please stay with us.
That was the Country in Focus. And right now, we'll take the profession of the week with Said again.
Good day again, and welcome to the segment for the profession of the week. I am, of course, still Said Aremu. Here, we x-ray a particular profession or field of human endeavor within the educational sector. I will be telling you what it is about, the knowledge and educational qualifications required for admission into tertiary institutions, the years of training required, and the schools that have the accreditation to offer these courses. On today's episode, we are considering agriculture. Agriculture is a vital profession that involves the production of food, fiber, and other products through farming, livestock management, and related activities. It is one of the oldest professions in the world, and arguably, it is the oldest. There are different careers and opportunities that stem from the field of agriculture. These include agronomy, which entails crop production, soil science and crop protection; animal science, which covers livestock production, animal breeding, and animal nutrition; horticulture, which revolves around fruit and vegetable production, ornamental crops, and landscape design; agricultural economics, which deals with farm management, agricultural marketing, and rural development; agricultural extension, that involves disseminating agricultural knowledge and technologies to farmers; soil science, which consists of soil conservation, soil fertility, and soil management; entomology, which is the study of insect management and pest control; plant pathology, which has to do with disease management and plant health; irrigation and drainage, which primarily deals with water management and irrigation systems; and agricultural engineering, which considers farm machinery, farm structures, and agricultural mechanization. Studying agriculture in the United States can lead to various economic rewards, including, firstly, high-paying job opportunities. Median salary for agricultural professionals ranges from $60,000 to $100,000 per year. Specialization like agricultural engineering, agronomy, and animal science shoots your income marginally upwards to about $120,000 per year. You also stand to benefit from career advancements. You can take leadership roles in agricultural companies, government agencies, research institutes, and non-profit organizations. Opportunities also abound for entrepreneurship and starting your own agricultural business. There is also job security in agriculture. Agriculture is an essential industry, ensuring a high demand for skilled professionals. Government agencies, universities, research institutes, and private companies employ agricultural graduates. Scholarship and grants. Various organizations and foundations and companies offer scholarships and grants for agricultural students. There is also the possibility of diverse career paths, as agricultural graduates can work in fields like research, extension, education and policy, then marketing and others. There is also opportunities for advanced degrees. Masters and PhDs in programs in agriculture can lead to higher salaries and greater career advancement opportunities. In Nigeria, agriculture offers the following opportunities. Firstly, salary ranges between 200,000 naira to 1 million naira per month, depending on experience and location. Self-employment opportunities like farming, consulting, and entrepreneurship. Job security, including a high demand for agricultural professionals in government, private sector, and international organizations. You should keep in mind that salaries and opportunities may vary depending on factors like location, experience, and the specific employer. To study agriculture in Nigeria, an applicant should pick the science department at the senior secondary school level. You need O-level credit passes in biology, chemistry, physics, mathematics, and English language in the SSCE conducted by the West African Examinations Council, the National Examination Council, and NAPTEB. A credit pass in agriculture is an added advantage. At the UTME, you need a minimum score of 180 with subjects including biology, chemistry, physics, and mathematics. For direct entry, OND and HND in agriculture related fields necessary with a minimum of lower credits. Universities that offer undergraduate and postgraduate admission in agriculture include University of Ibadan, University of Nigeria, Osaka, the Obafemi University, Ile-Ife, the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, Federal University of Agriculture, Makurdi, University of Uyo, Federal University of Technology, Akure, Futa, Federal University of Technology, Owerri, Futo, Osun State University, Oshogbo, Taraba State University, amongst others. These universities offer various programs in agriculture, including a Bachelor of Agriculture, B. Agric, Bachelor of Science in Agriculture, BSc Agric, Bachelor of Agricultural Economics, BA Agric Economics, Bachelor of Agricultural Extension, B. Agric Extension. Some universities may offer agriculture-related courses under different faculties or departments. It's essential to check with each university for their specific programs and offerings. Similarly, the admission requirements may vary depending on the institution and program. It's essential to check with the specific university for the most up-to-date information. That's it on the portion of the week segment. I still remain Saeed Aremu. Education Today continues in a jiffy. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back. You're still on to Education Today on Light Radio, and right now we're moving into the discuss segment, and our guest is very much here with us. Today we are discussing inauguration of governing councils for federal tertiary institutions, setting the agenda. The topic of discuss for this edition once again is inauguration of governing councils for federal tertiary institutions, setting the agenda. The federal government on Thursday, 4th July 2024, inaugurated the newly appointed chairmen and members of governing councils of universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education with a charge to attract funding to the institutions. Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, inaugurated members of governing councils for federal tertiary institutions approved by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is a visitor to the institutions. President Tinubu had in June 2023 dissolved the governing councils of the tertiary institutions, and since then, the institutions have been managed by vice chancellors without the necessary input of the councils. And on the program today, we want to examine the task before these governing councils in order to engender peace and progress the tertiary education in the tertiary education subsector in Nigeria.
Yeah, joining us on the program today, we have an educational administrator, a lecturer, a researcher, an educational consultant, and our in-house analyst, as usual, Mr. Professor OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Said.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Nima.
And it's a pleasure to be here. Good afternoon to our listeners.
And remember, you can be part of the discourse by sending your comments and questions to 0809-738-4000. Again, 0809-738-4000, or drop your comment via the live video feeds on Facebook and YouTube. Before moving to discuss proper, our short quiz question. In what year was Saudi Arabia founded, and who was its founder? Again, in what year was Saudi Arabia founded, and who was its founder? This was mentioned in our Country in Focus earlier in the program. Remember to send the answer to the WhatsApp number 0809-738-4000 or our Facebook or YouTube page. The first correct answer wins the prize.
All right, so delving into the discuss proper. So, Mr. KAZEEM, the term governing council, what does it mean in the educational balance in Nigeria, and what role does it actually play in the management of these institutions?
Thank you very much for that question. When we talk about governing council, that's the highest body that is in charge of affairs of tertiary institutions in Nigeria.
Okay.
So when I say the highest, governing body, so we have the task of governance and we have the task of management. So for governing council, that they are in charge of the overall affairs, management of the assets, management of the staff, management of the resources of the institution.
Okay.
This time around now, higher education or tertiary education institutions. So for polytechnics, colleges of education, universities, we have governing council and you have the management. So members of the governing council are appointees of the government. So they are like those representing the interests of the society, the interest of the government, as far as the management of such institution is concerned. So for these people, they are appointed. The chairman of the governing council and 4 members are appointed by the federal government, and those are the external members of the governing council. So for universities, for instance, apart from these 5 people, the chairman is the person that we call the pro-chancellor.
Okay.
So the pro-chancellor is the chairman of the governing council, and he has 4 other members from the Ministry of appointed by the president. So those are the people that the Ministry of Education inaugurated on the 4th of July.
All right.
So but within each institution, we now have some other people that are elected, and some they are statutory members. Now these are, for instance, for the university, you have the vice chancellor and you have the deputy vice chancellors. They are automatic members. The registrar is the secretary to the council, to that council. The registrar of the university is the secretary of the governing council. Then apart from that, you now also have representatives, elected representatives of the senate of the university in that council. We also have some other, bodies within the university. And you have what we call congregation and you have what we call convocation. So the congregation has 2 elected members. The congregation is an assembly of all academic staff and graduate non-academic staff of the university. So they elect, that assembly elects 2 people to represent their interests in the governing council. Then what we call convocation is an assembly that is put together for the award and conferment of degrees and other certificates within the university. So they also have 1 representative. So you have this set of people that are representing various interests within the university in the council. Then you also have a representative of the Ministry of Education in that council. So there you also have people like the alumni and things like. So those are the people that represent so all these varied interests. So what they are trying to do is to ensure that at least they manage the affairs of the university, the general affairs, not the day-to-day running of the university. Okay. The day-to-day running of the university is handled by what we call those that we call the principal officers of the university, members of management, the vice chancellor, deputy vice chancellors, the deans, and all the directors of different areas using it and things like that. So those are the people in charge of the day-to-day running of the university, the bursar, the librarian, all those ones. So those principal officers, they are the ones in charge of the day-to-day running. But the governing council, they manage affairs like so they are higher than the management.
Okay.
And that council is headed by the pro-chancellor, who sits as the chairman of the governing council. So what they do, they manage affairs like, for instance, the issue of recruitment and of staff. They approve the appointments of staff. They approve promotions of staff. They approve the finances of the university. For instance, the budget of the university. The manager prepares the budget. The council approves it and also forwards it to the federal government. So because they are representing the interests of the government. So the management of finance, there are some levels of expenses that are beyond the approval mandate of the vice chancellor. So for some of those, it has to pass through the council. So some of those things like that. So they manage the finance. They manage the assets of the institution. So for instance, they also manage all the alliances and partnerships. For instance, should we probably enter into an alliance with probably another institution or an affiliation or things like that. They also try to attract funding to the university because they know, for instance, the government alone cannot do it. So you need to get some philanthropies, some alumni, some NGOs, the industry, players, and some other well-meaning individuals, endowment that can endow the university, so that at the end of the day you have enough facilities and you have enough resources for the institution to work with. So this is let me say broadly the function of the governing council.
All right, thank you for providing that background.
Yeah, thank you very much
topic.
for that, Doctor. A quick one: how can the governing council ensure effective governance and leadership of a higher education institution?
Well, part of what they are supposed to do ordinarily, because we're talking about finances, and these are some of the issues that usually generate ruckus within the institutions, the management of finances.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, they are supposed to be like the management prepares their account and they check to ensure that everything is properly done. They work through what we call committees. So at the end of the day, when we're talking about staff welfare, it's part of that responsibility to ensure that the staff are okay. So in terms of governance now, so you have to ensure that things are properly done, that the management does its job effectively. Let me just paint this picture. The governing council is just like when to have an organization. You have just like the board and you have the management. The management will tender its stewardship to the board.
Yeah.
So the board can remove the management, it can replace the management. So it's the same thing that you have as governing council.
Okay.
If there are issues, so they are the ones, for instance, that could checkmate the excesses of the management. It's the function of the council to checkmate the excesses. Then again, to also ensure that things are properly done. So the audit, investing the finance of the institution, getting the right set of people there, getting the right kind of facilities, and so many other things that's their job. So with this, if they are doing their job without having to interfere, there's an issue. I'm superintending over the affairs of the institution. That's the function of the council. But I don't have to deal with the day-to-day running. How are students going to class? How are lecturers doing their jobs? That's not the job of the council.
Interfering.
That's interference. But if that is necessary, for instance, the tenure of a particular, let's say provost or rector or vice chancellor, is about to end, they're supposed to put into motion the processes by which you have another appointee, a DVC, at the end of the day, by the time they do the internal arrangement within the institution, then the management, submit the recommendation based on the process that. For instance, let me tell you, if a VC is to be appointed, the Senate, activates, the process, and at the end of the day, the council activates the process. They expect the Senate to do a kind of screening among themselves, because it is among them that you have someone that would emerge. So the process has to start from there. If the Senate does not activate it, or the Senate does not do the in-house screening or whatsoever, it cannot just go to the council straight. So they start the process. It is a set of people that they recommend to the council. Then the council will now set up process that probably, if there will be an examination, or if there will be a kind of screening, there will be an kind of interview and things like that. So they check what is recommended to them. If, for instance, that a particular lecturer is to be suspended, or probably has conducted participating in an action that is considered a misconduct, it starts from the process, the Senate. Because if the president is an academic staff, they set up the whole process. They check, they do their investigation, set up a committee. By the time they do that, they submit their recommendation to the council. The council would not. It is the council that can actually take a final decision on that.
So the council has absolute power. It can do whatever it is that.
No, it's not a matter of absolute power, because they, above them, you have the visitor. The president is the visitor of every institution. Okay. So if the president is dissatisfied with the participation, with the action or whatsoever, the president, through the minister, can actually activate what we call the process of visitation panel that will visit the school to see exactly what is going on there. So if there are issues, probably with the management, or if I thought that, for instance, if there is an issue, a conflict between the council and the management, the president, through the minister, will set up a visitation panel to visit the school to check what exactly is going on. And at the end of on the basis of the recommendation, we will take action. So the president can actually remove members of the council or dissolve the council entirely. But ordinarily, a council has a 4-year term to operate. And that's another issue, for instance, because we are trying to, now we've just inaugurated another council, and the existing one before, they've just spent a year. So we are saying that you cannot be using illegality to try to address an illegality or whatsoever. So that's why the point ASUTU was complaining that no, you cannot be setting up a new one when the existing one you just dissolved. When you don't have you don't just dissolve when their tenure has not elapsed, and that is, for instance, not a particular action that they have done that is probably wrong. There is no petition against that existing council. You just dissolve them across board. And that is wrong, because their existence is actually supported by the law. So we should not just allow impunity to reign. So if those that are supposed to checkmate the councils are the ones they are the ones now perpetrating impunity, if care is not taken, that impunity will trickle down. The council too will execute acts of impunity against the management. Management too probably will come up with acts of impunity against students, against staff, and other things like. So that's what we are trying to say, that let the proper things be done.
All right. So bringing it home, what do you think are the current challenges facing Nigerian institutions, and how can members of the governing council address them? Or do they have like magic wands that they can just use to turn things around suddenly?
Well, the thing is, it depends on the creativity and the innovativeness of the members of the council to be able to come up with creative solutions to address some of these challenges. Nigerian institutions are actually plagued by so many issues. Part of it, for instance, even is the issue of funding, because that's very, very critical. The funding from the government is not enough to meet the needs of the institutions. And as council members, what you should do is not for you to say we are only expecting or depending on subvention coming from the government. As council members, you can think, okay, are there arrangements, are there businesses, or are there other activities that the institution can engage in? The institution probably could have some fund. I can say, okay, let us raise a particular amount of fund as endowment, and this particular endowment will now invest it in business. That is the function of the council, not the function of management. The finances of the institution, the council can actually invest. The council can borrow money on behalf of the institution.
Wow.
Yes, if they feel that there is something, that is an urgent need.
Missing gap.
Yeah. So at the end of the fact, they can, and that's why they are expected to be people of influence, that they can use their own individual and collective influence to attract funding to the institution. It could be in form of research fund. It could be in form of endowment fund. It could even be in form of scholarships or other things like that. You can have people that would say, okay, as a friend, for instance, you probably were to be, let's say, that's why you have some other people like, although the bulk of those that we are having are probably politicians, or not, they're supposed to be professionals who are experts, and they can actually, through their influence, attract some other people and say, please come and endow us with, in this particular institution, for instance, we need more hostels, and federal government is foot dragging in terms of that. Okay, can you please come and endow us probably at a particular hostel, and you put your name there, so we'll use that to immortalize you. It's not until you die before you can be immortalized. So they can attract, some of these kinds of funding. They can actually enter into business agreement probably with some other, companies. For instance, I can say, okay, fine. Can you build this particular, come up with this particular building and let it be on a build, operate, and transfer model that probably students will pay for some time before it becomes that of the institution. So we've had such arrangement in the past. In fact, we've had a institution, okay, give us this particular, okay, we'll give you 2 plots of land.
Okay, like a trade by barter.
So 18, okay, fine. You build on it, and you also probably have your own business, structure on it.
Floor.
So you can say this particular floor, or that kind of thing. Let me give you an answer. There are some institutions that, okay, they bring in banks and say, okay, fine, we'll give you this plot.
Okay.
The first floor will be for your bank, and the other floors will be for the institution, so that they can have different things there.
I think a perfect example is the alumni house at Unilag.
Well, I don't want to just mention a particular name, but different banks. Yeah, you got it. You also have a situation where, okay, someone says, okay, I will donate this building to the institution, but the institution will also provide me another plot of land. I'll build on it, and it will be on the model of build, operate, and transfer. So that at the end of the day, I would operate that particular building for a number of years, probably for 30 years, to be able to recoup my investment.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it becomes out of the university. So at the end of the day, you are getting 2 buildings.
Yeah.
One as a donation and one as a business case model. So that then, these are some of the things, creative models by which you can attract funds. So funding is there. The issue of recruitment of staff. See, our institutions are short-staffed. That's an issue. The issue of brain drain, because we're talking about remuneration of staff.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, there's nothing saying that if Unilag can create it, for instance, investor, because it's in Lagos, it can, benefit from the location. That Lagos, the cost of living in Lagos is very high. Now, apart from probably what federal government is paying, because federal government is paying a flat rate, we can say on the basis of what we are able to attract, we can actually have a particular amount that will top the salary of the staff of this institution on the basis of what we are able to get. So the government council can do that, can approve such. They can approve some bonus, they can approve some welfare funds at the end of it for the benefit of staff. So the issue of remuneration, because we need to tackle the issue of brain drain. Many people are leaving our universities the same way people are doing JAPA. Many of the education is sector is one of the worst affected after health.
Yeah.
After health, I agree, the health sector is the worst affected, but after health, it is education. So there are so many bright minds, so many good brains that have left the shores of our university because we cannot retain them, and they feel like, see, what exactly am I getting?
What's the point?
Probably there are some other universities in Africa that are paying as much as $6,000, and a professor in Nigeria is earning less than $1,000. So what exactly am I waiting for? So that's an issue. The issue of student fees, and because of the cost of running these universities, we cannot push everything to the students. Now, anytime the institutions raise fees, the students go on rampage, they go on protest and things like that. We need to also manage this. It's a fact. The minus that is the issue of facilities. See, we don't have 21st century universities. No public university in Nigeria is a 21st century university. Wow. In terms of facilities, is it the classrooms? Is it the laboratories? Is it the hostels? See, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Can we say, yes, this is a public university and they are supposed to be the best in terms of facilities, in terms of infrastructure? See, gone were the days of Obafemi Awolowo University in terms of the quality of infrastructure that they had. Infrastructure that can compete with any university in the world. Where are we today? See, the bulk of the infrastructure that we have in our universities today are those that we got probably during the first and the second generation of those universities.
Yes, actually.
Until today, we are still using those infrastructure. Imagine that you have a facility that is meant for 3,000 people, now still accommodating 30,000. The population has grown tenfold, but the infrastructure has done the increase more than probably twofold. And that's why at the end of the day, you have stress on these facilities. I'm sure so many university students in their host ordinarily they're supposed to meet about 3 times at least in a year.
Okay.
And occasionally you could have emergency meeting. So for this, the council also has different committees. It just like the universities operate through what called the committee system. The Senate operates through that. The governing council also has different committees that is set up. Finance and general purpose committee and different committees like that for different purposes. So at the end of the day, at their periodic meetings, they review the activities of this committee, because this committee would also submit report that they are not in charge of the day-to-day running of the affairs of the university. Does not mean they don't get reports or they don't get information upon which they can base their decisions. And every time they meet, they get reports from different sectors of the university.
I'm sorry, beyond getting reports, do they actually investigate this report?
A lot of times they do. It's because of the investigation that I usually see some of this report that indicts the management of the institutions. And at the end of the day, because of this indictment, a lot of these management also, because they are also politically exposed persons, they also use their political link to try to thwart the activities of the councils. And that's why at the end of the day, you always have the the rancors that usually happen.
Thank you very much for that.
All right, so now my question is, you said the governing council is appointed by the federal government one way or the other. So how do you think they can help in promoting the freedom and autonomy of Nigerian higher institution and educational? It's as if you are asking them, to go against their employers, or the government put them in power to be governing councils. So if there is a case whereby they have to go against the government and put the schools, the institutions' needs first, how do you think they can manage or balance that kind of situation?
And you want to talk about autonomy, there are some aspects of autonomy that are granted to the institutions.
Okay.
See, especially of that of academic autonomy. They design, the kinds of courses, the kind of structure the institutions want to be like, what do you want to be known for, the kinds of courses they want to run and things like that. Then it is not the governing council that decides, okay, this is how you must teach.
Okay.
These are the courses you must teach. So if the institution is able, what the governing council can do is to ensure that if we are running some of these courses, what do we need to put in place so that at the end of the day, every periodic basis that the NUC comes to do accreditation, that our institution meets up with its target and its requirements. So that's their function. But it's not for them to say that, okay, this course, okay, this is how you award marks, this is how you award certificate, this is how you do this. That's not the business of the council.
Okay.
Are you with me? So
yes.
They are saying that how can they ensure autonomy? By ensuring that it's not everything that the government just comes and try to say, this is how you must do this. Or mainstreaming the institutions, for instance, with probably what operates. And look at this issue, for instance, this issue of IPPIS.
Yes.
Ordinarily, beyond just what the institutions should be doing or the management of these institutions, if we had functional governing councils, they are those that should have told the ministry and the NUC or the federal government to say that no, we are the direct employers of these people,
exactly,
not the ministry, not the government directly. So, because the truth is, because their appointment is political in nature, they are representing the interests of the president.
So when they
but the thing is, see, listen, when such things happen, they are in a position to advise the president appropriately. Okay. That Mr. President, you sent us here to represent your interests, and in representing your interests, this particular decision that the Ministry of Education or this set of people, NUC or whatsoever, these regulatory agencies, they are overreaching their powers, and that is encroaching on the rights and the authorities of this university. Because ordinarily, as council, one of their responsibilities is to actually study the enabling acts. See, every university, a polytechnic or college of education, any federal any tertiary institution that you see, they are products of acts of parliament, especially for public institutions. They are products of acts of parliament. That is an act, an enabling act setting up such an institution. The creation of the parliament. So at the end of the day, there are laws guiding the conduct and operations of such institutions, and it is responsibility of the councils to ensure that these are, the provisions of the law setting up this institution. I must ensure that these laws are followed to the latter. So anybody tries now trying to encroach,
even if it is the federal,
even if it is the president himself, they should have told him, Mr. President, you are overreaching your powers. You don't have the power to do such.
That's what.
Let me give you an instance. At the point you see that, even though it's within the right of the federal government, the time when the name of the University of Lagos was to be changed, as a visitor of the institution, the president is empowered to do that ordinarily. But then he should have done that through the National Assembly, because the institution and the name is a product of the Constitution. Is a product of the National Assembly, product of the Parliament. So I don't know, by the time you would do that, you should have probably gone through the Parliament to also effect such change. But because they did not do that, the governing council, although because they are appointed of the government, they will not do that, but they can, in an advisory role, advise the president against such a decision. See, this is a brand, and this brand is organic, so let us not destroy the brand that this decision has made, and which it has been with this kind of decision. They are supposed in advisory role to the president. But are you with me? And if they tell you that it's also against the law, they would advise the president, please, this is something that by the time these people, other stakeholders can actually take this up against the government in court. So it would make sense that government itself is taking government to court.
Okay, so how would the governing council handle conflict or disputes within the institutions, and what mechanisms do you think can be employed in resolving these disputes?
All right. Ordinarily, when there are issues like that, they set up committees to look at that, and it is expected that it should be sincere and objective in addressing some of these issues. Now, give fair hearing to everyone. See, the challenge becomes a situation where a lot of times, some of them, if probably they've been found culpable, because probably if there are, let me give you an instance. Let's say in a particular polytechnic, the staff members probably have issues with the rector. Probably the rector has been accused of misappropriation of funds.
Okay.
Such an issue should be, it's like a kind of a petition should be written to the council.
All right.
The council would investigate the matter. They would invite those who wrote the petition. They would invite the rector that has been alleged, and through the mechanism they have, because they also monitor the books of the university, it's part of their responsibility to monitor the finance of the university. And for you to say, for instance, the rector has spent also an amount of money, he approves such, probably engaged in contract splitting, or even approved an amount that is beyond the approval limits that he has.
Okay.
Are you with me? Beyond the mandate that he has. If he has gone ahead to do that, and then they say, okay, so for this reason, we feel like we are not, we have lost confidence in his capacity to continue to, superintend over us or manage this institution. They can petition. It's for the council to investigate that, and if ordinarily is found culpable, through the president and probably through the minister, they can actually recommend the removal of the, rector, and they can remove the person. So, and if at all, it's not just even the rector, if it's probably some other members of staff that are found culpable, the management would have done its own investigation and forward such investigation to the council. The council would debate on it, and if they look at it and they see that there is a basis, or the verdict that was reached by the committee probably set up by the management to investigate the matter is actually fair in its approach and its processes, and at the end of the recommendation is also valid, then they approve of such, and such a staff can actually be disengaged. So that's the part of their job, so that at the end of the day, see, it's more like a mechanism that is meant to actually ensure stability within the system. Exactly. So that's part of their function, but they are not. That's why I'm saying they are not supposed to interfere direct, because it's supposed to be a case of when you guys have issues, then you take it to the council. It's not the council that now say it should be filing for what's happening ordinarily. They could have people, a mechanism through which they get direct information from those directions. So beyond just the reports that the manual submits to it, no problem about that. Are you with me?
Yes.
No problem about that. But at the same time, they are supposed to, allow the management to operate while they also do their operations, and at the end of the day, they also get reports from they can query the manager ordinarily if they feel that there is something wrong somewhere, something untoward in the way probably some aspects of the university is being managed. Are you with me?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so to round up this segment, very quickly, what should be the long-term vision and strategy of these governing councils of the institutions?
For me, I would say first is looking at having a vision for financial sustainability of the institutions. We have to look at the means by which you can achieve financial sustainability. Let me give you an instance. There are institutions outside Nigeria that their budget is almost the budget of Nigeria. And these are institutions, yes.
Just one
institution.
Yeah,
And the kinds of finance and the kinds of endowment they attract are the things that you expect probably state government or the federal government to be able to attract. And such institutions are able to attract that. So why can't we think of a university in Nigeria that can operate at that level? And for that to happen, it has to take the harmonious relationship between the government councils and the management of such institutions to be able to be forward looking in that direction. So at the end of the day, it's not something I will talk about the government council. Since the heads of management, the institutions, they are also represented in such councils. So we expect that all of them, they should work harmoniously. Enough of this rancor and this power tussle between pro chancellor and vice chancellor to see who is more powerful and things like that. So that we don't want that to happen. That's one. Then number two is also the fact that beyond that is how can they work towards the retention of the best of brains within the institutions. Then again is how can they ensure that beyond just the finance and the facilities, that the quality and quantity of education given to students in such an institution is something that is competitive, that meets global standards, such that as an institution, I am looking forward to a day, because we've had it in the past, where you have foreign students schooling in Nigeria, but now it is a bulk of Nigerians that are actually running abroad to school. By the time I'm looking forward for a governing council to check education tourism, the forex that we are losing to schools abroad, if we are able to retain it within our economy, this economy will turn around. So we are spending billions of dollars to school abroad, whether in the US, in the UK, even Australia, even Ghana, Uganda, South Africa. Nigerians are going to Cyprus. Nigerians are going to Germany. Nigerians are going to Australia, New Zealand. See, far ends of the world because of education. And they are taking our scarce forex to actually enroll in such places. Imagine if we are able to retain all these in our educational institutions. And at the end of it, by the time you have all these things in place, see, lecturers will not have any business going on strike. If at the end of the day I'm getting the best of rewards for my effort, why would I want to go on strike? Of what use is it? If my take-home pay is able to take me home, then what people are getting, the staff of this institution, what they are getting cannot take them beyond the gates of the institution, not talk of take them home. So these are some of the critical. So I'm looking at a government council that would say that we want to do away, in fact, we want to be self-funding, we want to be independent of the federal government. If JAM can do it, the institutions can do better.
Actually.
All right. So
if JAM can do it, the institutions can do better. So it's a function of the creative minds of the members of the governing council.
All right, so that's all we can take on the discuss segment. We'd like to appreciate Mr. OLUBUNMI KAZEEM for a wonderful, discussion this afternoon. And right now, we'll take the words on the Marble segment.
You're welcome to the Words on the Marble segment of Education Today, where we take a look at memorable quotes that are educational and inspirational to everyone. Today, we have a quote, again, from René Descartes. According to him, divide each difficulty into as many parts as feasible and necessary to resolve it. Again, you have to divide each difficulty you are facing into as many parts as possible and feasible and necessary to resolve it. That's our one on the Marble for today. For us, as students of knowledge, we are faced at every point in time in our lives with one difficulty or the other. Let us not allow it to overwhelm us. In resolving such issues, it might be easier to tackle it by breaking it down into bits and pieces that we easily manage, thereby leading us to the overall solution of the matter.
All right, so do we have a winner to the quiz question? So, Said, tell our viewers and listeners the winner, since you are the one that read out the question. We do not have a winner on the...
Okay, unfortunately, we have no winner for our quiz question. It's quite unfortunate because it's a very simple question, right?
Exactly.
However, The onus lies on us to give the answer regardless. Saudi Arabia was founded in 1932 by King Abdulaziz bin Abdurrahman Al Saud.
All right, so
back to you, Neema.
all right, so I'd like to appreciate the joining of Tunde Joda, Ahmed Abdullahi, Fatima Aduni, Damilola Funleyin, Ayu Barowe. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for sticking up to this moment. Thank you. This is to inform you, our esteemed listeners, that you can sponsor this program and advertise your products and services, as well as showcase your events on our program. This you can do by calling the numbers 0702 507 4268 or 0703 953 8998. Thank you very much for joining us today. Before we go today, we would like to condole with the family of Miss Aminat Karim, one of our crew members, on the loss of her mother. May God forgive her, grant her repose, and give the entire family the fortitude to bear this irreparable loss. Rest in peace, ma'am. Many thanks to the entire crew of Education Today and the management of Light Radio. The supervising producer has been T-Wise and Faye. Thank you for doing wonders from the control room. Do join us same time next week on this station. I am still Nima Ibrahim.
And I am Saeed Aremu.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.